Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome, welcome, welcome. I say that 3 times because I'm welcoming you for myself. My name is Denise Ford, and I am the conference director of American Writers and Artists, Inc. And I also say welcome on behalf of Katie Yackel, who is the executive director of American Writers, and welcome on behalf of our great host and star for these next few days, Matthew Fury. Before we move into tonight's events, a very special series of events, I wanted to tell you a little bit about how this came to be this evening. Many of you are here because you're with Matthew's, excuse me, I'm going to be tripping on that one for a while, Matthew's mastermind group. And many of you are here because you're members of American Writers and you're copywriters. How many in the group are from the mastermind group? Show of hands. Excellent. And how many of you are with AWAI? Excellent. And there may be overlap. Well, what you may not know is there are people in the room tonight who have traveled near and far to get here. We have with us a gentleman from Scotland, and he's not just wearing that outfit because he has great legs. Ron's here. I have. Ron came in from Scotland. We have a gentleman from UK. Where is he? There you are. All the way from the UK. We have someone from Dubai. There's Graham. So we have international travelers. We also have, I think we have something like 10 or 12 maybe people from California. How many Californians? Rise up, Californians, so you can see each other. There you are. We have a lot of West Coast people. We have people from Oregon. We have people from Colorado, people from Arizona, a bunch of people from Florida. But what we have is a large group of people with a specific interest in learning the techniques that you're going to master in the next few days. I didn't say learn. I said master. That's a significant promise, and we couldn't make that promise without the talents and expertise of the man who's going to take you through this journey over the next 2 days. A few housekeeping notes. We are in the Marriott Tampa Hotel, which is amazing. You walk out of the airplane and into the hotel. It might as well be called the Matthew Fury Marriott because they do so many events here. But the staff is very dedicated to your comfort. So if there's anything you need, please let myself or Scott, who is my partner in crime, there's Scott in the back, if you haven't met Scott, know, or Carol, you know Carol, and the staff will accommodate you here. We ask that you do not tape these sessions. Some people have inquired about whether there will be tapes available, and yes, Matthew and Katie have agreed to create some tapes. So we've got the camera crew here, and we'll find out the details. We put that together so quickly, I can't even tell you what, when, and how much yet, but I'll find out over the next few days. But the reason Matthew wants you to concentrate on the events is he wants you to practice what you're going to be learning. Thus, you have the writing pads in front of you. So you'll be taking notes when he asks you to take them, but you can be free to listen because you will have the tapes available if you choose. And more importantly, you will have opportunities where you're doing exactly what it is he's asking you to do. Does that make sense? So that's the framework for the next few days. Because as I say, you are going to master these techniques, and you're going to master them with this master of the internet. Now, many of you don't know me, so you may wonder how I know Matthew. And that story really takes place 3 years ago. I've organized conference events for AWAI for the last 5 years. And at one of the events 3 years ago, there was this gentleman, striking by appearance, in one section of our conference room, and there were a lot of people surrounding him. So he created sort of a buzz and a noise, and I noticed it, and Katie noticed it as well. But these people weren't just talking. They kept going up to him and bringing in books and magazines, and he was standing there laughing and signing. And so I said to Katie, "Who's that?" And she said, "I don't know." And so she wandered over to the circle, and she introduced herself, and she said, "Excuse me, are you somebody famous or someone I should know?" And Matthew said, "Well, I might as well be, in that charming sort of drawl that he has. He describes it as sort of southern Iowa. I describe it as aw shucks, good Irish stock. But very genuine, very engaging. And Matthew started talking with Katie. And she discovered that he was involved in martial arts and fitness programs. And indeed, the gentleman that he was talking with at the time interrupted Katie, started singing Matthew's praises and talking about the various awards he had won and the various books he had written. And while he was talking, Katie and I realized we had to let Michael Masterson know about this guy. Now, Michael Masterson, for those of you who may not be familiar with AWAI, is the fellow who helped create that program. Michael and Katie and Paul and Don created American Writers and Artists Institute specifically to help develop copywriters for the direct response industry. And one of the things Michael enjoys doing most of all is martial arts, jiu-jitsu in particular. And Michael will get up and start his day with an exercise routine. He'll do exercise in the middle of the day, and he'll do exercise at the end of the day. He's a fitness nut. Diego knows that. He just went through a conference with Michael where not only did they spend all day studying, but Michael drugged them out to the lawn 3 times a day to exercise with him. But so Katie knew we had to tell Michael that there was this fitness expert, this famous guy in our conference. So she went over and she started talking to him, and she said his name's Matthew Fury. Michael got very excited. And we were moving along in the conference. We had another session. We had panelists. We had people assembling in the room, and the next speaker's getting up, and I'm going up and doing a general introduction. And all of a sudden, Michael comes storming through the back of the room, comes up and says, excuse me. And he says, in different words, my memory is poor, but he says, I just wanted to say this is so exciting. I don't know if you know, but Matthew Fury is here today. And he went on to explain that here is a guy who is in the top of his game in this particular industry. But here he is at a copywriting conference. And Michael so admired that because Michael and many other people in the direct response industry consider Matthew to be the best email copywriter in the business. And he was in awe of the fact that this guy was still in the learning curve and still interested in other perspectives and other ideas. And so Michael sang his praises at the conference that day, and that began the relationship between Matthew and AWAI and Michael. And Michael and Matthew have had interactions ongoing since then. And you may have read about Matthew in Early to Rise, where he often writes articles for us, or where Michael will comment on his expertise. Matthew also writes articles for American Writers in the Golden Thread. So this relationship began from one of those accidental combustible meetings 3 years ago. And today, we are so honored that we could convince Matthew, whose schedule is busier than a bee, to share what he does, not only with his mastermind group, but with those of you who have come far and wide to learn this very special skill. Tonight, what we're going to do before we get into the whole concept of email marketing, we're going to get the ball rolling in a very specific way. Tonight, Matthew is giving you, never before, a created presentation on what he calls zero resistance writing. And he's put this together for you. And it's going to change the way you think about writing, not just email writing and letter writing, but living. It's actually, the concept is broader and bigger than just simple writing. Zero resistance writing. So without further ado, would you please all rise up and let's give a warm welcome to our Master of Ceremonies, Mr. Matthew Fury.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Somebody's mic is still on, or okay. Or is it this? Okay. I'll be patient. Are we ready? Can I move this way? Can I move this way? Who's doing this to me?
Carol's going to fix you. It's the ghost of microphone's presence.
Okay. It's something. Now, can you hear me still? Yes. Okay, good. Well, it's a great honor to be here with you tonight. 2 years ago, we had a little workshop where people paid $10,000 each to attend, and it was 2 days, just like you're going to get the next 2 days. But they didn't get the special introductory evening, which you're getting tonight, which in my opinion is the whole key to the whole deal. Your ability to be a good copywriter, and by that I mean somebody who gets paid for what he writes, is really indicative of what's going on inside this brain of yours and what picture you have of yourself. And so if you have a picture in your mind of being a good writer, but one who doesn't get paid for it, then the universe will give you exactly that. If you, on the other hand, have a picture of yourself being a so-so writer, average skill, but you're getting paid a lot of money for what you write, the universe will kind of conspire and say, "Give that guy some money. I know he doesn't deserve it, but neither did Vanna White for turning letters on Wheel of Fortune. A couple $1 million a year for that." Think of that. You don't get paid what you deserve. You get paid what you picture. And your writing skill as well is reflective of what picture you have in your mind. And if you show me your picture that you have going on in your brain, and it's not hard for you to do so. In fact, you can't really hide it from me. You might think you can by not saying something, but I can look out at you and get a good idea. And then if you start talking, usually within the first couple sentences, I know what you are inside your own mind. Doesn't take much to figure it out once you start to think in terms of pictures. So everything you say, I'm making snapshots. Boom, 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 boom. And then I just look at them. This one doesn't make any sense. He said this, but it doesn't jive with this one. It's like a movie being put together. You're talking, movie's being assembled. And this movie doesn't make any sense. It's all over the place, scatterbrained. So I'll start to ask you questions about some of these pictures, and pretty soon you get a sense of clarity about the direction you're going in your life. But it's all picturing. So some people will say, I can't visualize. I have a tough time with that. I've read all this positive thinking stuff. It doesn't work for me. And if you've ever said that, that's very good. Because it's not supposed to work if you don't change the image you have in your own mind. You can't put a Band-Aid on a wound and make the wound go away. And so, if you have a self-image of yourself, a picture in your mind, see, that's what self-image is. It's really self-picture. If you have a picture in your mind of not being good or not being paid, you see, then you won't be, because everything you do will conspire to make sure that doesn't happen. You'll talk to somebody, you'll say the wrong things. You won't even meet the right people who can pay you to do anything. Your world won't even exist of people who have money. You'll know people who don't have money. And you'll be around people who complain about the price of gas. and how much the airline tickets cost. And they chirp about it. Oh man, gas is now up to $3.05 a gallon. Oh, wow. I don't even have that conversation. I don't even know anybody who talks that way. How can that be? Because my mental picture is such of being around people who have money and will give it to me. And so that doesn't take place. Like first class in an airplane. I have a good friend of mine lives in Italy, one of my students. And I was talking to him about the importance of flying first class. And he said, is there anything else? I just go on the airplane. I know I turn right and sit down. That's all he can think. He couldn't even consider walking all the way back to the middle and riding coach. Now, a week and a half ago, for my mastermind meeting, I was so proud when I got this report from several of the students, but from one of the flights coming from Phoenix, Arizona to here, there were 8 seats in first class and 5 of them were my students. All of them flying first class. And people say, well, you can't afford to fly first class. Again, this is wrong mental picture. See, I want to fly first class. Picture. Smiley face in picture. Vibration going out and hitting picture. Really, really want this. Okay, well, if you really want it, then the world starts to work a path toward you so that you have the money to fly first class. It's like my dad who's in the back of the room. I'll introduce you to him maybe tomorrow, but I won't give him the microphone because he's an attorney and he still thinks he gets paid by the minute, even though he's been retired for like 20 years. But he said to me something when I was in college about having children. He said, if I waited till I could afford it, I'd still be having them. You see? And before we had our first child, my wife and I started this little mantra, babies bring money. Right? Not, oh no, got a baby coming. Oh, what are we going to do now? Oh. No, babies bring money. And the year my son Frank was born, we made a whopping $275,000 that year. And we were flying high. We thought, this is great. Bringing in about $30,000 a month. Our debt evaporated, was gone, and in a flash, just poof, gone. And then, next thing you know, the next year we did $680,000. And we thought, wow, we have arrived. This is a lot of money. Then the next year, we did $1.25 million. Once again, we're thinking we're really something. This is 2002. So in 2003, I got lazy for a year and didn't really do much except twiddle my thumbs and wonder, how in the hell can all this money be coming to me so easily? And I'm not working as hard as I used to work. So we only did $1.7 million that year. At the end of that year, I'm at a seminar of Dan Kennedy's in Phoenix, Arizona. And I just had a private meeting with him over lunch. And as we're leaving the room, I said, next year, I'm cracking $2 million. I'm only thinking 300 grand more. And he looks at me standing in the threshold of the room. And he towers over me, like 6'4". In a deep voice, he says to me, next year you're going to crack 3 million, no doubt about it. You're going to do 3 million easily. So that thought, what he said to me was his mental picture of me. And I took that mental picture he gave me and I heard it all the time. I'd hear it in my mind throughout that whole year. And in 2004, we did $4.25 million. 3 million wasn't even a challenge. 2 million most certainly wasn't. And that's the year where I really became known as the man when it came to writing emails and really making people pull out wallets and purses. Like on command, Matt Fury says, bye, all right. And it was magical to see it happen. I was doing fine before that, but that was a breakthrough year. Then the next year we break 7 million, and so on. So I have to fight laziness sometimes. Then I think, wait a minute here, this is all about growth. It isn't even about the money. Money is just this little thing you kind of keep track of. It doesn't really matter ultimately, but at the same time it does matter if you're keeping track of how well you're doing in life. You see, if you step on the scale and you're 50 pounds heavier, and 10 years didn't go by and it's not all muscle, like 2 months went by, 50 pounds heavier, maybe you ought to step on the scale a little more often so you know where you are so you can adjust your behavior. So what happens is I took an idea I saw with AWAI and ETR, earlytorise.com. And I saw that they were emailing their list twice a day, not just once. So I said, well, starting in March, I'm doing that. I'm going to email my list twice a day. In the morning, I'm going to send them what's called it's kind of a little bit base, but you guys will understand. It's called the early morning lubrication job. Get everything ready for the afternoon delight. So the first email was just very nice and friendly. The afternoon one was wham. Now, most of the time today, I just send one a day because I got so much going in more countries than this. We live in China part of the year. We'll be leaving next week, and I'll be gone a couple months. And in December, I'm gone another month. Then I'm in Japan a couple weeks, and that's just the start of things over there. And we got other places. So a third of the year, I'm not even in the country. And I'm thinking to myself, this is fun. I like it being in a foreign country better than the U.S. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a place in Tokyo. And then I'm going to fly back and forth from there in Hainan Island, China. And then when I have seminars and coaching to do, I fly home to the U.S. and I give the seminar and I give the coaching, and then I go back. That's what I'm thinking right now. And all of these things start shifting and changing according to the picture in my mind. And you guys, none of you would be here tonight if you didn't have a picture of being here. Can you agree with that, Carl?
You betcha.
Yeah. If you didn't have a picture of yourself getting on a plane or getting in a car or riding a motor scooter or whatever you did to get here, you wouldn't be here. And that seems like an obvious fact. But you going from doing that, traveling from Tokyo or the UK or Germany or Washington State to get here is no different than traveling in your mind and in physical reality from not being a paid email copywriter to being one. It's the same process. It's just a mental picture. So here's how it works. Zero resistance means what?
No strong flow.
No struggle. Things flow. What else?
No effort.
No effort. But there is effort. but you don't feel that there's any effort. Okay? You from the UK? Okay, good. Welcome. So,
I heard an astronaut speaking one time, years ago at my college, about moving satellites around and repair satellites. And he said we had this multiple-ton satellite.
yes, go ahead.
They had a multiple-ton satellite that they were trying to move, but they're at zero G. And he said it was as simple as moving, something light here on Earth. It still took, a force to move a great mass,
Mhm.
but you didn't have to deal with the friction against the ground and
Right.
that sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, good analogy. Go ahead. So here's how I explain this zero resistance writing. And there's a lot of ways I can explain it, but I tend to be somewhat of a spiritual guy, so I'll explain it this way. Okay, now. Now, that is a zero. See? Zero. Resistance. Writing. Now, if you do this exercise physically, or when seated in a chair, not even moving your body, you will go into a different realm. You just sit there and start picturing the letters of the alphabet with your eyes open. So let's start. You got A, then you've got B, and some of you are making these letters way too small. Okay? And see, I can tell the size you're making them by the look on your face. I didn't give any limit as to the size, so this doesn't work. Big letters. Now, I gave you this sizable, everybody can see, but you can make it as big as the room if you want. Okay? So, A. No moving your arms, just picture. Just picture. Or do you want to move your arms? Okay, let's move your arms first. A. And this is not a cursive A. This is printed. B. C. So you get the feel of this. D. There's no resistance. E. F. And while you do this, you breathe. G. H. I. J. W, X, Y, Z. Now, why does everybody feel good? Because I can tell you're feeling good, huh? You're laughing. So all of a sudden, ooh, you're shaking up the room. I'm supposed to do that. Now you guys are. All right. Changes the way you feel. Now you're using your arms. And you're breathing. And you're seeing it. You're picturing it. This is exactly the feeling you want to have when you write or do anything. So I was laughing last year. Michael Masterson came and he spoke at my seminar in February. He wrote an email about it and said that he came mostly just to scout me and watch me for a number of reasons. But he said that I was relaxed to the point of nonchalance when I speak. I thought, this is very interesting, man, because I'm really excited. But here's the key thing. I come into a room and I start teaching, and even though I'm like this, people start feeling different, get shook up, energy starts moving in their bodies. Think, well, how the hell can that be, man? I'm just up here calm and relaxed, nonchalant. Well, here's how it happens. We're in Florida. This is Hurricane Alley, for those of you who don't know. Now, even when a hurricane is of level 5, it's like 150, 60, 70 mile per hour winds. But in the eye of the hurricane, what's it like? It's calm. It's very calm, but stuff's being thrown all over the place. People are, whoa, getting blown away by the content of that hurricane. But inside the hurricane, just this very peaceful, calm, zero resistance force. Well, that's what you want when you write, and we're going to get you there. You're already starting to get it already tonight, and you haven't even done any writing on paper, but you've written something already. You wrote it in the air. Now, second thing is you do the numbers. So you start with 1. All right, so let's, number 1. Now use your other hand. Okay, so use your left if you used your right on the letters. 1, and then let's do 2, then let's do 3, 4. Some of you guys do your 4s wrong. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then for the 0, go this way and go this way. So then you go up, and you got to retrace this. You go up, and you come back down. And you inhale and go, and then down, exhale. And inhale. Inhale. And see yourself making a stronger and stronger 0 every time with every breath. Very good, see? Now, that's a 0. What's a 0? What is it a symbol of? Where is that symbol used? Zen. Who said Zen? Somebody doesn't. Sun. Okay, sun. Earth. What was the last?
Wholeness.
Wholeness.
A continuum.
a continuum. The symbol for Zen is the circle. In the Catholic Mass, when the priest holds up the Eucharist, what shape is it? A circle. Right? How about this watch? Circle. Now you can have a square watch if you want. It's up to you. But when it tells time, it goes this way, no matter if it's a square or whatever it is. Then you've got the moon. It's a circle. We drink out of a container that holds my liquid in a circle here, the cap, the opening's a circle, and even the bottom of this is a circle. If I were to tear this label off, it would be a circle. And if we were to put the water under a microscope and look at it, what would it look like? A bunch of circles. So if I put your body under a microscope, what would it look like? Bunch of circles. Everything's a circle. So if I'm doing Tai Chi, it's like everything is a circle. Everything. Circular movement. If I'm breathing, I want my breathing to be circular. So you see? Everything's a circle. So you get this. So the void is a circle. Zero is nothingness, but it's also infinity. So, zero is nothingness, but it's also infinity. Wow. Profound. So I'm calling myself the Zen master of the internet. What the hell is that? It's a circle. I'm not sure, really. But I started looking at this zero resistance. And I'm in Japan, and I go to all these various temples and check things out, and I keep seeing this circle for Zen. I go, Zero resistance. First two letters, Z-E, and then in the word resistance we got an N there, so it fits. Makes it fit. I made it fit. But I think this way, and I'm not even preaching any religion. I just think this way. I keep track of numbers and things that special events happen. What date was it? Look at all these kind of wacky stuff. It's fun. And I like to really count money. And money is a bunch of zeros. Think of that. What do you do to change 1,000 into 10,000? You add a zero. No resistance. Just tag another zero on there. You want to increase your income? Just add a zero. You start thinking of money as zeros, you're not afraid of it anymore. If you don't think of it as a zero, you're just, oh my God, I'd like to make more money, but and that's resistance. And you see this all the time. People have goals, they want to make more money, want to improve their lives, but at the same time are scared to do so. That's resistance. So how do you eliminate the resistance? Well, you breathe. When you inhale, you bring in like white energy because you got this dark, cloudy, negative stuff in your body. So you inhale and you pull in white light all the way down to your feet. Not just to your lungs, all the way down to your feet. Then when you exhale dark. So inhale. And inhale white. Exhale dark. Inhale white. Exhale dark. Feel calmer? Who feels calmer? You? Yeah. Most of you aren't raising your hands. You're so calm you don't even want to move. And I know that's a fact. Right? It's like, I asked for a response after I put somebody through a meditation. And it's like, I have to almost slap you to get you to raise your hands. Because you're gone. See? So that's one thing. You spill something? Good. Okay. So here's the first thing, though. I gave you this first, the breathing, because you're going to want to do that before you write. You're sitting there with your arms folded across your chest. Are you resisting what I'm saying, or are you relaxed? Okay, you're open to it. Okay, good. Just making sure. Okay, now, when you are having trouble coming up with ideas, or thinking what you're going to write isn't good enough, you just do some breathing exercises. You inhale white and exhale black, and you do that a few times. Then all of a sudden, wham, inspiration strikes, and you start writing. But I don't like to write before breathing. I like to breathe first, then write. And I figured this out by reading some things about the Chinese Taoists. They live up in the mountains, and they practice martial arts and do calligraphy and write poems and make music and do all sorts of artistic things. But one of the things I read like 15, 20 years ago was they never did anything creative without first doing breathing exercises. So, it kind of makes sense. Now, it goes back in the Bible to the first book, Genesis. See? Before you were created, God goes, all right, I want to make this man, okay, and breathes life into him. That's giving you instructions on what to do. You create with breath. And you get yourself relaxed in zero resistance state with breath. And you let go of all the tension and all the stress and frustration and all the people who said you can't do it and all the mother-father stuff. My mom told me that I was not a good writer. Well, what the hell did she know? Was she a good writer? Right? My dad told me that I could never make any money. How much did he make? Right? This isn't to put down your mom and dad. They brought you into the world, but you need to rise above what they taught you. Because that's really what they'd like, is to say, my son and daughter did better than I did. But they resist it, because it's scary to them. Oh, my son might do better than me. Maybe I'll try to hold him down a little bit. Might make me feel badly about my life. See? But that's, some of you have that. But you got to rise above that. Forget that stuff. Drop it. So, physical relaxation with deep breathing and letting go. Forgive yourself for all your mistakes. What you've done prior to walking into this room doesn't matter unless it was positive. Then we'll use that. But all the negative stuff, just throw it away. It doesn't matter anymore. So, then you forget all the garbage said to you by everybody else and all the negative things said to you or done to you by everybody else. I don't want to hear them. Just forget it. Don't just think forgive, because you don't want to forgive all these guys that did you wrong. Right? You hear this sermon and that sermon, and you got to forgive. It's like, not letting go of that, man. Got to poison myself a little more. It's not hurting the other guy any, but damn it, I want to keep doing this to myself. But see, if you forget stuff, then the person's forgiven. So you don't have to think about forgive, you just think forget. and you got this image of your mom or dad beating the hell out of you or telling you you're no good and you'll never amount to anything, and you just, okay, show me that picture, put a frame around it, now let's tear it in half. And put it together and tear it in fourths and eighths, and then just throw the damn thing away. It's that simple. It's really that simple. And then you make a new picture. Your mom or dad saying such and such, and you're laughing. Yeah, that was funny. You must have been joking. You couldn't be talking about me. Right? That's the thinking. It's all pictures. It's all pictures. So number one, physical and mental relaxation. Number two is forgive yourself, forget others. Number three, you keep up with yourself, not with the Joneses. So you don't look at me and say, oh, I didn't write it as well as he did. That's not important. What's important is that you write it as best you can right now, and then you get better. You be the best you can be. And then number fourth is you see yourself at your best. And your best doesn't have to be as a writer, because some of you maybe haven't written before. How many of you have never done email copywriting before? Yeah, is it a concern to you that maybe, I don't know if I can do this? You have that thought? Tell me something you have done well. It doesn't have to be writing. You're smiling already, huh? What was it?
I'm an accountant.
You're an accountant. You're good with numbers. See? You? Yeah, one of you were saying something?
No, she was saying accountants, there's a lot of us here.
Oh,
I
you're an
work
accountant
payroll.
too?
No, I do payroll. I
Payroll?
process payroll.
Okay.
In Board Accounting Office.
How many accountants are here?
Yeah, there's,
Oh my God. I'm in trouble. I got to cut out all the jokes I had planned. No. So, you're good with numbers. All right. There's energy there in that. That's a confidence issue for you. And you take that confidence and you move it into the new endeavor. Say, if I can figure out how to do all these numbers and taxes for all these people, I can figure this out. It's just practice. It's not hard work. It's practice. I don't know if you saw my email, I think it was yesterday on this, right? Why hard work? What was it? Why hard work is no good or a dirty word? Why hard work is a dirty word. You know, if you read Dr. Maltz's Psycho-Cybernetics and Zero Resistance Living, I'm thinking in all the books I got of his, it's like, is the word work ever even used? Does he ever say, you got to work hard? And if you want to achieve your goals, you got to work hard. I can't think of him saying it. If you find it, show it to me. Maybe I've missed it because I don't want to see that myself. What he says is you practice, practice, practice. That's how you get good. And he's a medical doctor. He was a surgeon, a plastic surgeon, back when it wasn't penile implants and breast implants. It was real plastic surgery. Like your nose got ripped off in the war. Oh, we got to take some skin off your butt and put it on your nose and create a new nose for you. This is true. And that's the kind of plastic surgery he did, or you had a hair lip. You don't look too good with your lips split in half. So let me fix that. Well, medical doctors have what's called a practice. They're practicing medicine. They're not working at medicine. And then my dad being a lawyer, it's his law practice. It's not his law work. And every time I say to my wife, man, I got a lot of work to do, I got no sympathy. Zero. You got a lot of work to do? So what? So do I. I'm raising the kids. I'm doing this. So everything I try to eliminate that word completely from my vocabulary. And you'll hear people get up and watch the speech of Joe Montana on his website, and he goes, success boils down to one word, man. It's just hard work. Wait a minute, that's two. It's no secret. Hard work is no secret. Success is no secret. It's just hard work. But wait a minute here, man. I watched you play in the Super Bowl 4 times. I watched you go up to the line of scrimmage like this. Put your hands underneath the center, and even if you were behind and there's 2 minutes to go, even if there's 30 seconds to go, even if there's 4 seconds to go, you're just like this. Hey. Whew. Right? And then, beautiful. He didn't go up, hard work here. And he talked in his book. He's one of my heroes, right? And one of my sons as well. But he talked in his book, The Winning Spirit. See, he didn't say the winning formula. The winning spirit. Is that he had pictured and visualized the last 2 minutes of a football game so many times, being behind and driving the team down the field. It's just no big deal he got in that situation. There was no resistance. Now, the best story in the book is what his dad did to him. He was out on the playground. He was a junior in high school playing basketball, and he's shooting baskets. And he's working on his favorite jump shot. Wham! Wham! And his dad came up to him and said, what the hell are you doing? He said, I'm working, practicing. He goes, that's not practice. It's your favorite shot. You know you can do this. Let me show you what practice is, chump. You didn't call him champ yet, right? That's my rendition. That's actually not in there. But if you've seen the movie The Great Santini, how many of you have seen it? Okay. If you haven't seen it, go rent it. Because there's a scene in there where Robert Duvall, he plays the Great Santini. He's a Marine. And he's playing basketball with his son. And he just beats the hell out of him and makes him cry. So Joe Montana's father was a military guy. So you get the picture? Says, all right, that isn't practice. Now, we'll play some games. And whenever Joe would go for a rebound, he'd step on his foot, he'd elbow him, he'd trip him, he'd knock him around, and just beat the hell out of him. I'm seeing the Great Santini. And Joe then said, so when I got into a game situation in basketball, nobody could do anything to me that my own father hadn't done to me at least 100 times. Wow! Pretty funny. Pretty funny. So here, you're not here to work on your strengths. If you were, just stay home and crunch numbers. Right? You're here to develop a new strength and a new skill. And man, I can teach you so fast and have you competent at this very, very quickly. But you've got to relax, breathe deeply, forget all the failures of the past, forget all the stupid stuff said to you about what you can and can't do. Don't compare yourself to others, and see yourself at your best. Those 4 things are the main part of zero resistance living. Now let's get to the picture. Self-image, self-picture. What is your picture you have of yourself as a writer? Think about this right now. And take about a minute to write what it is right now as is. Nobody's looking at this. And I'm not even going to ask you to read it. Maybe I'm lying, but no. You don't even have to read it. Just when you see yourself as a writer or as a copywriter, what picture immediately comes to mind? Are you getting paid? How much are you getting paid? Are you struggling? Do you have any clients? Is this working for your own business? What is it? Write this down. Take a minute, okay? Okay, Mary, what do you got? Oh, sorry. Who had a phone go off? That's $100. Okay, given to me. So I can give it to my favorite charity, me. No, I actually do get, but don't have your phones on here. Come on. This is a professional environment. So, you got this? Now, how bad is it? Is it bad? It's good? Who has a bad one? You do? Okay, come on up here. Give him a, or just let him stand there, yeah. Sure.
Well, it's pretty simple. Just I picture myself as an unpaid copywriter who writes great copy.
Okay. All right. And
That's it.
do you think you can change that picture?
Yes.
Are you glad that you know what that picture is now?
Yes.
How about we just sit and write affirmations for the next 50 years instead? Or maybe I give you some positive thinking formula. Do you think it would do anything if that picture isn't changed?
No.
Right. You got what I'm saying here? The key thing is to change the picture, then positive thinking will work. Otherwise it won't. So that's when people fail with positive thinking, they fail because the picture's wrong. Okay, good, thanks. Somebody else? We can look at positive ones too.
Raise a hand, we'll bring them over.
Yeah. Right here? Yes.
I pictured myself being able to work at home, being creative, and getting paid while doing that, and maybe working at my own pace.
Okay, very good.
Those are the things that I was thinking.
All right, see all the things in that picture? Okay? But you can make it even better. See, no matter how good it is, so don't feel bad if you have a bad one, because the people who think they got a good one, it can be better. Right? Okay, somebody else? Yes.
Hang on.
Hold on, let's give you a mic. Yes.
I pictured myself in my home office with the money flowing in.
Okay. What's your home office look like?
It's purple.
It's purple? Does it match your shirt?
Yes.
Okay, good, good. Where do you live?
I live in Santa Monica right
Santa
now,
Monica.
but my office is in Scottsdale.
Scottsdale, okay. Okay, good. All right, good, perfect. Somebody else? Take a couple more, yes. Daniel?
Just Dan.
Okay.
You went from Matthew.
Okay, you're going from Daniel to Dan, okay.
I see myself working from a home office every morning, firing off one great email after another with ease, with pleasure, with a handful of clients who love me and beg me for more of my time. I can pick and choose who I work for and charge as much as Matthew Fury because I get results.
Very good, right? Okay. Is it, yes.
I see myself writing freely. It flows. I have thousands of clients. I am paid lots and lots and lots of money. I am very happy when I write. The ideas come faster than I can write.
Very good, yeah, see? And Dr. here is 75 years young. How many, anybody here older than him? How old are you? 76. Anybody else? That's really good, yeah. Huh?
I'm 75.
75, really? Wow. This is great, huh? Grandma Moses started painting at 80, right?
Yeah.
So you guys got to jump on her. Had a head start. It's beautiful. All right, so now, no matter what you wrote, positive or negative, let's add some smiling energy to this. See? Let's add some different vibration to it. So you're an entrepreneur, William. You see? You're not writing for other people. This is for yourself, right? That's why you said you have thousands of customers. Correct? Are you going to have thousands of clients that you're going to write emails for? Or are you going to write emails and get thousands of customers from your own emails? That's what I thought. See? Okay, so now you see yourself enjoying it. You're loving it. It's fun. It's easy. And it comes naturally to you. And you don't even think of it as work. Okay, so go back and look at what you wrote and take another minute to rewrite it in a more positive way. Or elevate it a little bit. And understand that this picture is just imaginary. It's not even reality. Every picture you have in your brain is imaginary. There's not a single one of them that are real. But you will act as if they are real. And it'll give you results based upon that picture. And so you better take seriously what you're imagining. Now, how are you going to get the clients? What mental picture do you have of that? I don't know how. Or some way or other, everything always works out for me and I'll find them. Or I got referred from doing this from a friend who knew a friend who knew a friend. There's all sorts of mental imagery here about getting your clients. And all sorts of choices, but it's all a mental picture. Or getting your customers if you're an entrepreneur and you're just doing it for your business. So I believe that things can happen in a supernatural way, beyond your comprehension. And the things that have happened to me just in the last week, much less last month, are staggering sometimes. And last night I came here and met with a man for a few hours. It was about 11:30, and I decided I'm going to drive home. But before I decided that, I asked about getting a room for the night here, because I have a room here all week during this meeting. I decided, well, I guess I'll just go home. So about 11:45, I get in my car, and I'm tired, I'm kind of sleepy, and driving all the way home. And I got to about 2 miles from our house. And I have this weird thought comes into my head. It goes like this. You know, a lot of people get killed about a mile from their home. It's like, boy, that's weird. Get out of here. And I just keep driving. But about a couple minutes later, my eyes close and I'm falling asleep. I'm asleep at the wheel. And I'm driving 45 miles an hour. And then all of a sudden, I'm awakened by bright lights in my windshield. In my rearview mirror. My eyes are closed. I'm driving 45 miles an hour, and I'm still going straight. Sleep driving, we call it in Iowa, where I'm from. And there's flashing lights in my rearview mirror, just pounding. I open my eyes and I look into the mirror, see I'm still on the road, and I look in the mirror and I see that behind me is a car. Maybe my car's here and this car is about this far behind me, traveling very, very close. And I kept going 45 miles an hour after I woke up. And this car then moved back to a normal following distance of like 2 seconds behind. I say, isn't that interesting? There's no way that person knew I was asleep at the wheel. No possible way. And I look at that as being protected and being guided. Now, I have many other stories that I choose not to tell, but some of them are very, very bizarre. But I have an image in my mind of that, of being protected, of being lucky. I have a girl from Japan in my coaching. She says to me, I'm the luckiest person who ever lived. And I said, well, how can that be, man? Because I am. See, but think of this. If you have a picture in your mind of being lucky, your results will be very, very different than a person who says, I'm the most unlucky person who ever lived. You've heard these people before talk. And sure enough, they're unlucky all the time. They attract it to themselves. So it's really important is, number one, you know the picture. And no matter what situation you're getting into, if there's struggle, what's the picture? Right? And I've taken this to levels that stagger me right now, but they're going to go to another level and another level and another level. We're sitting in a place in Xi'an, China, and the electricity goes out, and it's hot. It's like 100 degrees, and we're eating hot pot with a lot of hot spice put into the water. And my family's there with me, and they're, oh my God, it's hot, it's hot, it's hot, it's hot. I'm not condemning them. They're my family. I love them. But I just said, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to sit here and just breathe and pay attention to the air and all this kind of stuff. And I sweat easier than anybody. I mean, I can sweat like that, especially in 100-degree heat. And I sat at the table, I was comfortable and like blissed out the whole time. Didn't have any struggle at all. And they were, oh God, and they have people waving fans at them, and they're not moving them fast enough, so they're grabbing a fan and doing it themselves too. It's very funny. I get up and speak in public. I never know what I'm going to say before I come out. Even though I have this outline here, you'd think I'm really prepared. The only thing I have prepared other than this outline is an image in my mind that I'm going to come out here and I'm going to connect with all of you, and we're going to have a great time, and you're going to learn a ton of stuff, and your mind is going to be blown, and you're going to be grateful as hell for what I taught you. And then I walk out on stage. So I'm standing out in the corridor, and I said, Carol, do you have a folder of what I'm supposed to talk about tonight? This is a minute before 5. Oh, yeah, it's up there. I said, well, maybe I'll look at it now so I know what the hell I'm going to say. Like, this is helping? And I came out and talked for an hour, and I didn't even look at anything. but I'm covering the things that I do have here. So it does help me to organize and have all of it done in advance. But if your image is very strong in your mind, you got this big picture in your mind, and there's a lot of positive energy swirling around it, that picture goes out and starts hitting other people. And they start reacting to that, and they don't know why. Now, 2 of you are here, and you signed up, one guy on Monday and one guy yesterday. Now, I started thinking about this Sunday. I'd had a seminar all week and was busy seeing clients. I hadn't really thought about it, and I wanted to have 60 people here. Said, oh, let's get 2 more. Let's have 2 more people come. So I start picturing that. 2 more clients coming to the seminar, paying $5,000. I see the money in my hands. And then Monday morning, I went by the office. I never go by the office, our fulfillment office. I'm like never there. I'm there for maybe an hour a month, would you say, Carol? If that. So all of you sending faxes and calling me at the office, I'm not there. I'm never there. But I went by on Monday morning and kind of snooping around, and I look over on the fax machine. Ah, here's somebody. I think this is kind of funny. Then the next day, Tuesday, yesterday, get another guy signs up. The day before, has to buy his plane ticket on the day before. The worst rates you can get. But I had a picture in my mind of that. And I don't want to sound like I'm bragging and all that. I'm only instructing. That's my main focus here, is all of this stuff you can do. It is practice. But the practice also involves you being willing to do something. Sometimes it just comes to you automatically, or a lot of times. But that doesn't mean that you expect it to be that way all the time. You still have to do something. You have to practice moving. And the best kind of moving is meditative moving. You're picturing what you want and moving. And I got a guy in my International Millionaire Mastermind. This guy will sell $20 to $25 million worth of his services this year. The guy doesn't know a single close that he can quote verbatim. He said, all right, give me your top 3 closing techniques. He just looks at me, huh? Doesn't even know. So how can he be selling that much? Because the picture he has in his mind of customers giving him money is so big that he just moves forward and just starts talking. And things start happening to him. It's the most puzzling thing you'll ever see. My brother Sean can tell you. He knows many of you here in my mastermind know who I'm talking about. It's just phenomenal. We go to Japan. He's with me. He says, yeah, I got some business deals I'm putting together over there. I'm meeting with this company and that company. I'm laughing to myself. You can't even speak the language. You're in there with your cowboy hat, your rhinestone tuxedo, and your crocodile cowboy boots. How are you going to make money in Japan? And the day before we left, everybody else had gone home. He and I stayed a couple days afterward. But the day before both of us left, he sends me an email. Just closed the deal with the television company in Japan with A&E back in the U.S. They're going to pay me X hundreds of thousands of dollars doled out over the next... And he's not kidding. And we'd be waiting on the subway, and he's talking to people, and bang, somebody, this business guy, and he's talking, and people come up to him in Japan and say, you movie star, movie star. Oh, yeah, I'm a movie star. He's signing his name. And he's not far removed from being one, because he goes to the Academy Awards. He started going 3 years ago. The first year he went there with the Clint Eastwood for President sign and my name at the bottom, mattfury.com. Then after the award ceremony's over, he wanders into this hotel. He has no idea where he is, and he sees all these well-dressed people filing in and getting something to eat and getting some drinks. So he just figures, what the hell? And he walks in. He's got his cowboy hat and his tuxedo on and all that, so he looks like he's supposed to be there. Sits at a table next to Paris Hilton and is wondering, who the hell's this? And starts talking to everybody. They think he's an agent. So these Hollywood movie stars are talking to him about, getting in a movie, and I'd really like to get more work and all this. The next year he goes. He doesn't hold up a sign with my name on it. His results are so-so. This year he goes again. He has Jack Nicholson for president, picture of Jack, my website underneath. This was the top photo on Yahoo, on the news page. Many of you may have seen this. And he's standing there in a crowd with a rhinestone tuxedo yelling, Jack Nicholson for president. Then he goes to the party afterward, and now he's like in. This is his third year. So his website, he's got pictures of himself with Donald Trump and Frank Gifford and who else, Sean? Oh, yeah. Ted Kennedy. Ted Kennedy never give his picture with anybody. He just goes right up to him and says, hey, you get your picture? He just barges right in and gets one. Donald Trump came up to him at a party in South Florida. He's standing in line with other people who want to take photos with him and all this. And he keeps looking over. Who the hell is this bozo? And the cowboy hat on and the tuxedo. Then finally, Trump goes up and introduces himself to him. Hi, I'm Donald Trump, and shakes his hand. Wants to know who he is. And this guy, you talk to him and you go, no way, this guy cannot succeed. Not humanly possible. But if you ask him, I said to him, Jim, how smart do you think you are on a scale of all the people in the universe? Smart. Very, very smart. Way smarter than everybody else. Oh, really? See, that's his image in his mind. And he wanted to become a pilot. He got thrown out of 11 flight schools. Every one of the teachers told him, you'll never be a pilot. And one of them who really drummed this into his head, one day Jim is flying into Toronto, and he hears on his radio who's in front of him. Happens to be this flight instructor. He calls him up and radios him and says, hey, this is Jim. Remember me? I'm right behind you. I'll be landing right after you. The guy's scared. His life's going to be over. But this is an example of what I'm talking about, is that you can attract to yourself what you want through normal, natural means or through supernatural means. Just stuff comes to you and you can't even explain how or why. So that's how open I want you guys to be this week. That kind of thinking, and that's the thinking I want you to take with you. It's an image, it's a picture in your mind that even if you can't do it, there's a force out there, God is out there, He'll make sure you do it. Supernatural means. So, give you another great story about this. 2 years ago on 7/7/2005, I ate a meal in China and I got very sick afterward. And I'm boarding a plane to fly from Guiyang to Sichuan province. And I started throwing up and couldn't drink anything, couldn't eat anything. And where we were going in Sichuan province was to go visit this giant Buddha, carved into a mountain, 210 feet tall. And I thought, this is really fascinating. I heard 4 people can sit on the big toe, the thumbnail of the big toe, and play mahjong. I got to see this. And I've seen some statues. I've never seen anything carved into a mountain that big. So we got to Sichuan province, and I couldn't eat. I couldn't drink anything. So we had to keep postponing this trip. Finally, on the last day, we can make the trip. I said, all right, we're doing it. And I still can't eat or drink. And I'd seen a doctor who gave me some other medicine. All it did was make me sicker. So we went and visited this, and it was all I could do to walk. It was all I could do to do this. And then we went back to the hotel, and the next day we flew to another city, Xi'an, China, where the terracotta soldiers are, if you've ever seen these. And as soon as we got off the airplane and I got in a taxi, I said to my brother-in-law, take me to the hospital. And I got taken to the hospital, and I don't think I'm going to live. And I get hooked up to IV and all of this, and hours and hours going by, and I placed a call to my friend Ed Barron, who's my webmaster. He's done all my websites. And I had to place the call 3 times to say what I had to say. And it was, I want him to dictate an email for me. And he called me back, and I was able to talk and clarify what I was saying. And he sent out this email, and the thrust of it was that I was very sick, and regardless of your religious or spiritual beliefs, I'd like you to say a prayer for me. And Ed says, okay, I'll send that out. And then I laid back and just went gone. Eyes closed. It's over. And I'm lying in this grave, open, and all these headstones around me. And all of a sudden, I start seeing priests and religious people walking up to me, dressed up in beautiful ceremonial garments, different head ornaments, etc. And they'd walk up and boom, give a blessing and then turn and walk away. And then the next one would come, and the next one, and the next one. And this went on for like 15, 20 minutes. Then my eyes open, and I look at the ceiling, and I sit up, and I say, that was not a dream. And the next day I get a call, or that day I get a call from a man. The phone keeps ringing in my room. Thinking, who the hell is this? Can't be for me, I'm in China. Who's calling me in the hospital in China? And my brother-in-law says, don't answer, it's nobody. It just keeps ringing and ringing. I said, I'm answering it. So I answer the phone, and all of a sudden, hi Matt, my name is Steve Morse. And I'm a Matt Fury Inner Circle member. Means he pays me every month to get my newsletter and CD. And I live in Xi'an, China. I have a Chinese wife, and I read your email today, and I had my wife call every hospital in the city until we found you. Wow. So I talked to him for a while, and I got a notepad, and I wrote his name and where he lived and his phone number. And I told him, when I get better, I'll come see you. In my mind, I said that. I didn't say to him. And a few days later, when I'm rehydrated and feeling better and can move around, I dropped by his suite, a penthouse suite in the Hyatt Regency in Xi'an whole, like 4,000 square foot just for himself. Lives there year round. He works for Boeing. And his family opens the door and they see, it's like a ghost just showed up. Who is this? They know who it is, but it's like a ghost, meaning I can't believe who's at our doorstep. So I went in and talking to him and for a few hours, and I show him some exercise variations and I give him things to do. And then we said, all right, let's get together tomorrow night and have dinner. So I went by the next night, and when I'm there, he gives me this magazine that he'd picked up in Hong Kong about a Tendai Buddhist monk in Japan who had run 1,000 marathons through the mountains in 7 years. Only 46 or 48 monks who ever attempted this had done it and lived in over 100 years. And he was dissatisfied after he did it and decided, I'm going to do it again. You're considered a living saint or a living Buddha in Japan if you can finish this thing. He said, I'm going to do it again. He did it the second time in 6 years. Now, in case you think 1,000 marathons through the mountains in 7 years or 6 is no big deal, let me add to it. Also required is that you are on your feet for 90 days straight. No sleeping, no lying down, no sitting down. You can eat. And you can lean on a post like this from time to time. But you have to stay on your feet. Then, after you finish the 700th marathon, you are required to do a 9-day fast, no food, no water, and this other thing, no sleep. And you got to chant this mantra 100,000 times. And every morning when you wake up, you have to carry 2 buckets of water up this big hill. First day, no problem. You do it in about 5 minutes. By the 9th day, a couple hours. And if you live through it, people are lined up the last day, and he'll just walk past with it, going like this. And people who have diseases are healed spontaneously. That's 700 days plus 9 days of that trial. But you're not done. Now you got 300 double marathons, not just a regular one, that's too easy. Now you got to do 84 kilometers a day. And you start at about 2, 3 in the morning, and you finish sometimes 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night. Come back, clean up, have a little bit of food, then start again. And if you can't make it, you have to kill yourself. So every morning he leaves dressed in white, the color of death, with a knife and a noose to hang himself if he can't make it, and a white handkerchief to cover the face. So he's got 300 more to go. And I asked him, I heard there were poisonous snakes and wild pigs that you'd have to fight with sometimes. What did you do? Because you hear of these Buddhists and Hindus that won't even kill a spider, right? Or a cockroach. You know, you got cockroaches eating your rice. Well, I can't kill them, so I guess I'll throw the food out. He says, I can step on them and squash them. Kill them. The snakes say, hey, my kind of man. He kills things. So then he talked about, what about the pigs? He said, well, one time I got into a fight with a pig. And I kicked him. And I hurt my foot. And his big toe, his right toe, I think it was his left foot. He was showing his right foot, and big right toe and the toe right next to it swelled up, and he couldn't walk. He was in terrible pain. He realizes, I probably can't finish this. And there's no seeing a doctor. There's no medical help allowed. So he gets on this cliff, puts his knife to his solar plexus, and dives off. It's kind of like flipping a coin. If it goes inside, I'm dead. If it doesn't, well, I guess I have to finish. So he's awakened sometime later by the dew falling off the trees, hitting him in the face. So what did he do? Well, what any normal person would do who's really committed, he took his knife out and he cut the white cloth into strips. Then he looked at his toes and took the knife and cut the swelling off, then bandaged his toes with the cloth and got up and started walking. And he said, if you can't do your best, you might as well kill yourself. That's what he said. And now to us, that's like, you're crazy. Why would you kill yourself? Because you can't do your best. And you were doing your best. You just happened to kick this pig and your foot swelled up, and those bastards wouldn't let you see a doctor. And they're making you do this impossible thing. I mean, come on, this is ridiculous, what you're being asked to do. But he didn't see it that way. He said to himself, if I kicked the pig and this thing swelled up, must have been something in my mind telling me, some failure in my own mind. I failed internally. But he overcame this. And then he did it a second time. But after the 1,000th marathon, you're still not done. You don't have to do another 1,000. You're done. You're set for life. You're considered a saint. Nobody can do this. But after the 1,000th, you have to do a 7-day fast, no food, no water, no sleep, but this time in front of a fire. It's hot in front of a fire, especially when the flames are like this high. And he has to say 100,000 prayers or mantras for people who've asked for help. And so you have this wooden stick that's nice and thick. Nice ember for the fire. And he's saying things, offering prayer, and then puts it in the fire. And every one you put it in the fire, you got 100,000 of these. Fire gets bigger. So every once in a while, they'll give you a half-hour break. Otherwise, you might burn to death. And he did, the first time, 140,000 of these requests. And the second time he did 180,000. So I'm reading all this, and much of this I know now because I met him. I'm reading this, and I made my sickness and my little ordeal in China look like, that was child's play you went through. You didn't suffer. You don't know what suffering is. So you didn't have food and water for 3-4 days. Big deal. Try it for 9 with no sleep and having to carry water and all this stuff. So this man gave me this magazine. I start thinking about it. For some reason, when I'm out walking, I decide to just picture him for guidance and keep going. Keep working on this. Don't give up. Then we got to Japan as a group, but before we went, I called Michael, who's sitting here, and I said, something's in the air, man. Something big is going to happen. I'm not sure what it is. But I figured this guy is dead. I figured he's not alive anymore because he was an older man when he accomplishes. He was doing this in his 60s. athletic feet nobody can match in his 60s. So when we're in Japan, we're sitting in my hotel room, my suite, and we're talking business, and there's a Japanese lady there with us who helped with translation and taking us around. And I said, oh, by the way, if we can get a meeting with this guy, that'd be good. Just throw it out there. And then just kept talking. The next thing you know, next day, he's like, he wants to meet you. What, are you kidding me? I was told, no way, no chance for you to get a meeting with the guy at this level. They'll send you to some low-level monk at another temple. And here the door's wide open. So I said to the others in the group, shut your mouths, don't talk. Keep this in mind, and all of you picture us going there as a group. Not just me, but all of us. So the next morning, we're going to take the bullet train to Kyoto and get another call. He'll meet you today at 3 o'clock. It's like I said to the group, I said, all right, no food. This is a special event in your lives. I don't want your brain and body clogged up with food. So no food till after. So we're driving this winding road and need like 2 taxis and a few different translators to even find the place. It's not easy to find, and there are no directions. Finally, as we're getting closer, I think, and I go, you know, I'm starting getting tears in my eyes thinking, why the hell is this happening? When I was walking, I was picturing him. Maybe that had something to do with it. So we get called into his office area. And on the wall, he's got 3 big pictures of himself meeting one guy, the Pope. I'm like, wow. And he couldn't tell by the rug whether it was the Pope's place or his, because the rug looked the same, right? It was the design, it was red, the same colors, everything. It's like, is this here? No, it's there. Ooh, that's kind of heavy. Same looking rug. How the hell do you pull that off? And so we sat, and he spent 2 hours with us, and first thing he did is he gave me a card, hands it over, and I take it and go, whoa, okay. I put it into my wallet. Then I see him pouring tea. And I'm laughing to myself. He's giving us tea, huh? Then he hands it over, and I take a drink. And I go, oh. It was green tea before you made it. What it is now is out of this world. You never taste anything like this. It had a vibration to it because of who this guy is. So he spends 2 hours with us talking and laughing, telling stories about cutting the flesh off his own foot. And his skin on his hands and his feet was like a baby, not a mark, not an age spot, not a wrinkle. 80 years old. And we're sitting there just... And go back to the hotel and lay in bed. I said, no food. For several hours. We'll eat at 9 or 10 tonight. I laid in my bed and just... This little guy, 80 years old. So I started thinking about this. I gave him my book, Combat Conditioning, translated into Japanese. Before I left, everybody else had gone. I was still in there for a little while to talk with him, and he started flipping through my book. Ah, yeah. He loves fighting. Wrestling and fighting, his favorite things to see. And I left, started thinking about all this. All right, I got sick. Didn't go to the hospital in this town, went in another town. This town happened to have a guy who was a Matt Fury Inner Circle member. Had his wife then call and find me. I then went and visited him to thank him. I then went and saw him the next day. He gives me this magazine. I'm moved by the magazine. Start thinking about the guy. Next thing you know, I'm going to Japan. Don't know why I even chose Japan. Just I had never been there. That's all I thought. While there, just a flippant remark, oh yeah, see if you can line this up. Lines it up. We go. Now, some people will call this law of attraction. I don't even use that word or term. I just say this is a mental picture I had of being close to him and of meeting him and being able to talk to him about the things that he had done. He let us video him for 2 hours, took multiple pictures, etc. And the key thing he said for me was this, and it has to do with everything I'm teaching you tonight and this weekend. He said, at the end of the day, anything bad that happens or anything negative, you just take off like you do your sandals, because he'd wear rice sandals that literally fall apart from walking in them. They're not designed to last like Nikes. 1 or 2 days max. You just take off these sandals and throw them away, and the next day you put on a new pair. And you focus on and think about all the good things you've done in your life and all the things you have to be happy about and grateful for. And that's the secret. So when I say, if you're good at accounting, don't forget that. When I get up in the morning, I start every day with a meditation and visualization and prayer or whatever you want to call it. But part of that is I count, I breathe, I count, I do the letters, I do the numbers, I focus on infinity, the zero. Then I picture all my previous successes. Not all, but a lot of them. When I swimming and I won a race, when I beat somebody really good in wrestling, when I won the world championship in China, and I think about all these things and I get my body and mind just feeling awesome. Then I start picturing what I want now with the same feeling and energy I have for those victorious moments. And this monk was doing the same thing. And he said the key to the walking and the running was breathing. Here we have breathing again. The whole key is not effort, it's breathing. You don't push yourself. What do you mean? You don't push yourself? You're doing 1,000 marathons in 7 years. It sounds to me like you're pushing yourself. You did a 9-day fast, no food, no water, no sleep. It sounds to me like you're pushing yourself. 90 days on your feet. Sounds to me like you're pushing yourself. 7 days in front of the fire. Sounds to me like you're pushing yourself. But he's not. Because he's relaxed and breathing. Every inhale. He said, every inhale I take, I learn how to get energy from it. So I'm getting stronger as I walk, not weaker. Different picture. One guy walking, I'm getting tired, going to have to stop soon. His picture, I'm walking, I'm breathing, man, I'm getting more energy. Man, that breath is really good. Thanks. And he said, in Japan, you got to figure it out. No senior monk took him aside and said, all right, here's the secret to finishing this. When you go out there in the morning, you want to do this. Then you're going to do this. And you're going to do this. And it'll be a piece of cake, no problem. You'll get those 1,000 days done in 7 years, easy. No, this is Japan. Hey, here's what we want you to do. Yeah, how am I going to do it? I don't know, figure it out. That's the Zen master method. So I'm telling you how to do it this weekend. But at the same time, you're going to figure a lot of it out on your own. And some of the things he said to me, I resonated deeply with, because most of the things I've learned, I figured them out on my own. I didn't have a teacher. And I've had many teachers, so I'm not discrediting them. Many, many teachers. But a lot of the main key secret things that I do, no one taught me. I figured it out, including breathing while walking, etc. So when I breathe, I figured out, okay, I go... See, that's very different than... Right? If I go backwards... Oh. Very different than going. So he says, yes, I demonstrated, I showed him. And he said, yeah, when you're training and when you're practicing, it will come to you and you'll never forget it. The things you discover on your own, you never forget. So you guys are fortunate this weekend, because I'm passing on a lot of things to you that I've never taught before, and they're powerful. At the same time, you're still going to discover things on your own, and you're going to discover them this week. And things are going to click, they're going to open, you're going to discover your own ability to write. You're going to discover what the trick to making money is. There's another monk who died in China and Japan in the 1960s. While I'm over in Japan, this lady keeps showing me his book and talking to me about him. And one of the stories was, and she says, and as well as another man who's here, Hiro, says this is all psychocybernetic stuff. All this, what this monk is teaching. So this fighter goes to him and he says he's afraid and he's having trouble. And he wants help. So he says, oh, no problem. Let me give you this powder. And you mix this powder with water. You drink it every day. And you make sure you drink it before you fight. Nobody will ever beat you. So the guy, okay, takes the powder, mixes it with water before every fight, and he goes out and just blasts everybody. He never loses. And finally he's curious, and he goes and he asks this monk, what's the powder? Oh, well, come with me into the food shed. I'll show you. He opens up a bag of flour, grabs a handful of it, and there's your magic powder. You did it yourself. Pretty cool, huh? So I'm giving you the tools, but I don't need the credit. You're going to do it yourself. It's up to you, not me. I just create the environment where the change happens, and it happens fast. And why does it happen fast? Why do people come to me thinking they can't write copy and they leave going, whoa, I can kick ass? Because the picture I have in my mind. I won't take anything but your success. I won't accept it. You have to succeed. That's the picture I got. And whatever I have to do to make that happen this weekend, I'm prepared to do. So, what are you prepared to do? In this manual, which I haven't been referring to, but I've been covering most of it, we have 21 keys to zero resistance writing. The first 4 I've covered. Number 5, see yourself as a professional, not as an amateur. You see, professionals show up and get the job done, even when they don't feel good. You find it? The pages aren't numbered, that's a trick. Okay? Got to discover it on your own. So, none of this hangnail stuff. Well, I kind of have an ouch today, I can't write an email. If you're going to be a professional and you're going to get paid, you're ready all the time. Number 6, you see yourself as being able to write on command. Every day, bang, get up, write emails. Get them ready. Not, well, what are the biorhythms today? Are the stars aligned? Is Mercury in retrograde? Right? You do it every day. 7, you understand that your mind is a goal-seeking device and you're happiest when you have a goal. Your brain is a robot-like machine. You are not a machine. You're a human being, but your brain acts like a machine, like a robot. And do you know this is how by creating robots and creating computerized technology, that's when the breakthroughs came on the mind and how it works. Because they had to program the computer and make it a cybernetically functioning device. While they're doing this, they say, I wonder if our own brain is the same way as this computer. If we just program in certain instructions, it'll only do certain things. Isn't it amazing? 8, learn the art of physical and mental relaxation. Be the eye of the hurricane. I already talked about that. So you want to be relaxed. You never think, I got 50 things to do today. No. You only got one thing to do at a time. Right now, I'm not thinking about eating, drinking, or doing anything else. I'm only thinking about this. And I might have 50 things to do. I might have 100. But everything you do, you take into it this attitude of you only have one thing. Take the monkeys off your back when you write. When you work. It's only one thing. Then after you've done that, you breathe. Wow, I finished that. Good. Then you do the next one thing. And I use the analogy in today's email. If I go out and try to hit 5 birds with one stone, I might not succeed ever. But if I just have to hit one every day, one bird. That's the only thing I got to do is wham, bang, got that one. Next day, bam, got that one. What will happen is after a year or two, people are sitting around wondering how you get all this stuff done. In your own mind, you're going, what are you talking about? I just got to do one thing. People say to me, how do you get all the things done that you're doing? And I'm thinking, man, I haven't done anything. My list is like pages long. Pages. And I'm not getting anywhere. And the more things I get done, the longer the list grows. Jeez, it's just never going to end. But I'm relaxed about the whole thing because I understand only focus, bang, get this one done. Bang, get this one done. And I laugh because I've just finished training, 3 days of training, May 4th, 5th, and 6th. Taken a few days of rest, or actually no rest. I had consultations with clients for a few days afterward. Then I got to write 3 newsletters and make 3 CDs. I got to prepare for this event, and I got 2 sales letters to write for some people. Plus, I got my daily emails, and my workouts, and my wife and 2 kids, and all of this stuff. And I go, you know, I just got one thing to do, and all this other stuff can wait. So today, here I am, getting ready in the morning, get up, write an email, write a second email, bang, done. While doing that, I get an email from a magazine. New column is due. Oh, well, I don't want to wait till next week. Let me do that now. So 650 words, took about 15 minutes, finished. Then I realized I still got to finish a newsletter. Oh, okay. And here I am, working till 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock this afternoon, doing one thing at a time, knowing I got to come here tonight and have a great time with all of you and get this thing started. But I'm not thinking about it until 1 minute before I enter the room. Okay. Actually, 1 hour. I kicked Michael out of my suite so I could get mentally ready. How do I get mentally ready? Picture what I want. I do breathing exercises, and so on. Everything I do for my email writing is the same for writing a book or for talking in public or anything else. It's the same. Zero resistance. Create a success environment in your home or office, as well as in your mind. So, your home or office, how many of you have pictures on your walls of famous people you'd like to emulate or be like? Martha does. See? What are you thinking? Right? Now you can put oceans and scenery and things like that that are tranquil and powerful. You can do that. But also put up some heroes. Frank, do you have any pictures of anybody on your wall in your room?
Yeah,
Who?
Ronald Reagan,
Who else?
that's all.
Okay. Do you have any books in your library in your room?
Yeah,
Who are some of the people in your books?
Ronald Reagan,
Who else? Who else?
Joe Namath,
Joe Namath. Who else? Huh? Who else? Do you have an autograph? Huh?
Autogram,
Autogram. Do you have an autographed football in your room?
yes.
Who's it autographed by?
Peyton Manning,
Peyton Manning. You see, I'm creating a success environment in his room. When I grew up, my mom and dad can tell you, posters of Dan Gable on the wall and John P., all these great wrestlers, poems and sayings on the walls, and every trophy I won, every ribbon I won, it went on the wall. So every time I walk into my room, whoa, I'm up to 100 blue ribbons.
like 94 ribbons.
Okay, you sit back there, okay? You see? But here he is taking photos here, creating a success environment. So you got to do this. This isn't just kid stuff. This is all the time stuff. Then in your own mind, you have a success environment. You have a theater in your own mind where you go to it. And you watch movies, mental movies of your past, your best moments. And then you see new movies of your future. 10. Create a mental movie of yourself as a writer that includes being paid for what you write, not just writing. 11. Put this mental movie on paper in the form of a goal or affirmation. We already did that. 12. Read this goal daily and picture it as if it's a reality now. You see it as if it's happening right now. I'll teach you in a minute how to do that at a higher level. 13. Recall previous successes or happy moments before you picture your goal. You do not just picture a goal. You do not just picture what you want. You start with your successes. Now, there's this law in the universe called gratitude. And when you're thankful for things, people respond. When you say thank you, people like it. Except in China. No, just kidding. And if you go into a restaurant and the food is good, but they don't thank you for your business or for coming there to eat, you don't go back, even if the food's good. We like being thanked. Well, God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, depending on your beliefs, responds the same way. And so when you picture your previous successes and good moments in your mind, it's like sending out a force field in the universe saying, you know, Matthew Fury's a very grateful guy. I'm going to give him some more good stuff. And this other guy over here, he's always complaining. He's always nitpicking, finding fault. He's always saying things aren't good enough. So let's give him more bad stuff. That's how it works. 14, move the energy of these moments into the picture you have of your future. So you take the energy from the past, move it into the present. 15, shadow writing success. Use your imagination, not your will. So earlier I gave you shadow writing. This is shadow writing, right? And that's just starting you. That's to focus your mind and get you into a zero resistance state. But if you do this for the next 28 days, you sit in a chair or stand, it doesn't matter, and you act like you're writing emails and getting paid for it. And you do that for 15 minutes. And you're not writing. You're like shadow boxing. You see? This is huge. And I hope you take it seriously, what I'm telling you. Here is me in Japan, out in the park, shadow wrestling. Right? This is imaginary work, but I can guarantee you, if that's all I do for my training, and I do that every day, the guys that work out with a partner every day, I'll kill them. I know, because I almost never work out with a partner anymore. What's the point? It's too easy. This is the fun stuff. Here's the guy. Boom. Oh. Then I'd work out with the guy. Okay. He'd go flying. Foot sweep him. And he'd get back up. He'd go flying. He goes, "You're not going to do that again. You're not going to get that on me again." I said, "It's too late. It's already on the way." He looks at me like, "What are you, some kind of wacko?" I said, "You'll see." So we got back up, and this time, the third time, was even easier than the other two. Immediately knocked him down. He said, "Well, how do you do that?" I said, "Well, before you said you're not going to do that again, I already had a picture of me sweeping you and knocking you on your can. I had a picture in my mind of that happening. And I believe so strongly in that picture because of the size of it and the energy I put into it that I know it's going to happen. So you need to do the same. You picture yourself as a writer, making lots of money, easily writing, and then you put positive energy into it. You see yourself smiling as you write. You see yourself smiling when you ask for money. And you see yourself smiling when it is given to you and saying thank you. And you do this as shadow training. Sitting here writing. Ding, 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 ding. You just do this. Don't even have to write for now. Just programming your head. See, when I sit down to write, it's not, let me see. No. I don't go through that process. By the time I sit down, it's like, so Denise called me back in February maybe or March. We need a different promo for this seminar. They weren't happy with the one that was written. She and Katie are talking to me on the phone. I'm busy. I got a lot of things on my list. I said, all right, well, let me make a little time for this. So I came here to the airport Marriott, and I sat across from TGI Fridays on the chairs there. And I even put the time I started. That's how cocky I am. I mean, supreme arrogance, right? Or real confidence. Even put the start time. All right, I'm writing for an hour and that's it. And then when I'm all done, I even put the ending time. I didn't even look at it to correct it because I was that busy. I had a client waiting for me. Spending a full day with me. Paid $10,000 to spend a whole day with me. So I said, all right, that's good enough. I sent it back to them, said, please look it over for typos and whatever. I didn't have time to look it over. And Katie and Denise both write back and say, we are going to just use this. I'm thinking this is only a lift. Because they asked me to write a lift letter, like 1 page. So they put it up on the site, and I'm thinking this is never going to work. It's not long enough. Only 4 pages. So think of this. It isn't even the length. Frank, go in the back, okay? It isn't even the length. It's what's in it. It's how much power there is, how much zap. And when they called me up on the phone and were telling me some things, I got... So I sat down to write. I'm exploding into this thing. But in my mind, that was happening. But I had no doubt that I can write this thing in an hour and that it's going to be powerful. I didn't realize it was going to be that good. Okay, so when you put 60 people in a room at $5,000 a pop with 4 pages, I think it was about 1,100 words or 1,200 words, that's succinct. But it comes from the shadow writing. And I have it a whole thing I call mailbox Tai Chi. Same idea. See, Tai Chi, walking out to mailbox, opening, seeing letters, pulling them out. Ooh, I bet these have checks in them. Getting a knife to open. You get a bill. Ooh, another check. You see, if I don't explain to you what I'm doing, if I just do this, you think I'm doing some martial art form. And I am. Martial art of making money. But there's a reason why the high-level guys, they get so good that they just train in front of the mirror and by themselves. Because your imagination is your most powerful weapon. God gave you the imagination to use, to create what you want with your life. It's your most powerful weapon. And so you start using your imagination every day, thinking about it, just like a kid who's got his imaginary friends, imaginary playmates. You do the same thing as an adult. But it's imaginary checks coming in. Imaginary customers and clients and business. 16, darken the screen, then write. So you never want to edit yourself till you're done. Mark Twain said that if people spoke the way they try to write, everyone would stutter. So you don't want to do that. So one of the tricks is just blacken the screen. So you can't even see what you're writing. How can you judge it? You don't even see it. When you're all done, then you can turn it on and take a look and edit and correct. 17, clear the monitor in your own mind to move from task to task. You get something done, your mind's still preoccupied, clear the mind, clear the calculator, blacken the screen, shut the monitor in your mind off, and do the next thing. This helps you relax. Everybody wonders how Clinton can move from room to room, right? Goes in one room and does something and pulls up his pants and moves into the next room with a smile on his face, right? And I'm not going to judge him one way or the other. I'm just saying that's a skill that anyone can learn. And Ronald Reagan was no different in terms of he knew every move he was going to make with his body and his voice. And so the old movies of him are old when people are shouting questions at him as he's walking. And he'd go, and he'd keep walking. Wait a minute, if you really wanted to hear it, you'd stop and go like this, wouldn't you? But it looks like he's really trying to pay attention as he's walking this fast. All of these things. And when Reagan died, I watched for a week. I watched all the press coverage on it and watched Michael Devers was being interviewed. And he was a press secretary for him. And he said that he asked Reagan before he left the White House his final day, what's What's the one thing you brought to the White House that no other president had? And he said, well, I knew what it was like to be photographed and filmed from all angles at all times. Think of the advantage you got when you know your body that well. You see? And what he's saying is, he looked at a lot of pictures of himself. He's a movie star. He looked at a lot of pictures of himself, and he corrected. This one, that expression's not so good. That one's good. This one's good. That one's not so good. And he manipulated the images in his mind until he was able to communicate exactly what he wanted all the time. And I would watch films of him, video of him, everything from meeting President Gorbachev of Russia or Soviet Union, all sorts of things, press conference, and sometimes put it in a rewind and watch in slow motion the way he walked. And when it was time to shake hands with Gorbachev, whose hand came out first? Right? His. Looks better than if the other guy's hand comes out first, and then you're kind of like, oh, sorry, yeah, cameras are here. Then it's time to sit down. Who do you think gave the command to sit? Reagan. Who's in control in the world's eyes? And in his eye, he is. Then they have a summit in Switzerland, I believe, and it's freezing weather, snowing, blizzard outside. Gorbachev's out there with his trench coat on and hat and scarf. Reagan goes out in a suit and tie. Why? Sets the tone. See, all of this, he knew what his images were in his mind. What are the pictures? Then he corrected them. And I do the same thing. I started doing the same thing after I heard that. And 2 weeks ago, had picture day with my mastermind members. And I'm going through those pictures and looking at not only my body language, but the others in the photo. And one lady is really smart. She's got this product called the pizzazz factor. It's the it factor. It's all about body language. So she's in this photo with her husband and me. She's on the right. He's on the left. And do you know what she did? She put her right foot in front of mine with her hip like this. So I'm looking at this photo and going, you're trying to make yourself look better than me in this photo. Then the next shot, different position, where it was from the waist up. You know what she did? She put her right hand on the front of my shoulder. Not top, but here. So the first thing your eye is drawn to on the photo is her hand. Next time I'm breaking her hand and I'm stepping on her foot. I know what she's doing, but it happened too fast. But see, I'm playing around with this, but you see what I'm talking about? It's all image. And why did she do that way? Why did she go this way and this way? Because she's just having a good time? No, she knows in her mind what makes her look best in the photo. Photo in her mind tells her, stand this way, put your hand this way, do all this. And I'm pretty good at this myself. I know exactly how I need to stand. this facial expression I need to make, and all of this. I know. And she got the better of me. Okay. 18. When you make a mistake, when you write an email that bombs, or when somebody tells you how bad what you did was, you stay open and you, hurrah, another blunder, another terrible email. And then you let it go and you move on. Now, it sounds crazy. Why would you celebrate a mistake? Well, here's the alternative. Quaaludes and all these antidepressants. You can move on. Now, this same lady, Vanessa's her name, who wrote The Pizzazz Factor, she's from South Africa. And she's a dancer and a performer. She's been involved in all kinds of arts from the time she was a young girl. And she will send me a sales letter or an email or anything, even her own product, for critique with these words. Whatever you find wrong with it, tell me and let me know, and I will fix it immediately. So sometimes I go, all right, let's test this. It sucks. Just start over. Okay, thank you very much. She starts over. That's how good she is at being open and not caring about whether or not it was good or not. Just move. And you will make mistakes. That's part of the whole psycho-cybernetic thing, is that when you send a missile, you launch a missile to a specific target, it goes all over the place till it finally hits the target. And most of the time, it's off course. Most of the time, it doesn't appear like it's going to hit the target. But it keeps moving and then eventually does. So writing and selling your writing, same thing. You first person you talk to about writing emails, maybe he or she will say, no, I'm not going to pay for that. What are you, crazy? Now you can bury your head in the sand and go see the therapist and take some antidepressants, or you can go, oh, that's awesome. I'm going to go celebrate with a Hershey's bar. Okay. I'm going to go get something for myself. At least I asked somebody. Then you go do the next one and the next one. Pretty soon, law of averages says somebody will say yes. Has to happen. Robert Ringer, and I think Looking Out for Number One, referred to this crudely as 100 in the face is worth 1 in the sack theory. And basically, if you went up to every woman you met and said the nastiest thing you could right off the bat, let's go in the bedroom, baby, you'll get slapped 100 times. But one is going to go, all right. Well, selling's the same thing. You're going to get paid for the no's. My brother Brian, he makes a fortune in sales, and he told me early on, his teacher told him, you get paid for all the no's you hear. Everyone who tells you no, that's money. It's a very different mental picture than another one said no. Another one won't give me money. See the difference? Everything I'm telling you, you make a mental picture of it. And you'll see what the roadmap for success is. 19, eliminate fear, worry, and self-doubt with Star Trek energy. You want to know how to do this? We can turn this room into a monastery inside of 30 to 60 seconds, where it'll have the feeling of you being in church. You ready? Okay, stand up. Okay. walk over to that side of the room and this side of the room. You guys here, form a line over there. Okay. So, here's what we're going to do. One person, 2 people at a time, 3 people at a time. One gets this one will stand under this light, and one under this one. And what you'll do is you'll walk up to it, you'll stand underneath it, and you'll close your eyes and you'll visualize beam me up, Scotty. And you imagine all this light coming down, surrounding you for about 15 seconds. You go, okay? So each person gets about 15 seconds. Don't take 2 minutes, but one at a time, and the rest of you are quiet, and you're just waiting till it's your turn. Ready? Bing, bing, bing. Go. Hurry. Well, you would have to be dead. I'm not even sure that would work, to not feel the change in the room. It's a very different place right now than it was 10 minutes ago. And it's just from being quiet and doing a very quick little visualization, meditation. So anytime you have fear or self-doubt, you literally wash yourself energetically, your aura, your field surrounding your mind and your head and your body. You just wash like you're taking a shower, but not water, white light, white energy. So you see all those pictures of the saints and they have halos. Wonder why? Right? Why didn't they make it blue? It's white. See? So number 20, I already given you, deep breathing before writing. This is an example of an exercise you can do before you write. And you can do it longer than 15 or 30 seconds. You can do 5 or 10 minutes if you'd like. And you can do it seated or kneeling or standing. I prefer you don't lie down when you visualize, because you'll fall asleep. It's best to sit or stand or kneel. And by kneeling, I like the, in Japan they call the Seiza position. So you're and here, so warriors meditate this way, the samurai, see. They meditate on their knees. They don't sit in lotus with legs tucked, because if they have to fight, it's kind of hard to get up. You follow? So in Japan, you'll see a lot of the martial artists, or most, one leg comes back, and then you're on the top of your foot, then the other leg back, and then you sit like this. And from this position, you can do your prayer, meditation, visualization. It's very close to the sword if you have to get up, right? See? Boom. But if you're sitting on your butt, kind of hard to move. So this is the position. One of them. If you sit in a chair, let me borrow your chair for a second, Roy. If you sit on a chair, you don't sit back like this. Again, sleep. You sit on the edge of the chair, your feet flat, not crossed over, feet flat, hands here, spine straight, chin tucked. And you go from there. Got it? So now, in addition to that, chair back. You are always observing your body. And is it relaxed or not? And you give your body, you give your muscles the commands. Calm mind, calm body. Calm mind, calm body. Relax, let go, unwind, drop it, forget it. All that sort of stuff. Then, number 21, what is it? Go for walks. So if you read Claude Hopkins, Scientific Advertising, My Life in Advertising, a couple classic books written in the early 1900s. How many of you read them? What did he say repeatedly when he was stumped with how to write a campaign? He'd go for a walk and be thinking, how can I write and sell these pork and beans? Nobody will buy them. How can I sell this toothpaste? Nobody will buy it from all the ads already written. See the questions I'm asking? Your brain works two ways. Number one, you have a goal, and it moves you toward that goal. Number two, you have a question, and you don't know the answer to the question. So you start asking the question, if I were to write an ad that made a whole lot of money for this company, what would I have to say? You go for a walk. So you engage your body and just kind of don't even worry about the question so much. Just kind of get it in your head and then go for a walk. And all of a sudden you're walking and it's, I got it. Or your walk's finished, you strip off your clothes and you jump in the shower. And you're taking a shower. Oh, that's it. How many of you had your best ideas in the shower? Take more showers. See? Walk along the beach, along rivers, near water, near streams, if you have them. Walk in the woods. But walking is powerful, especially for riders. You need to walk. You don't just sit on your ass. And one of the great things about the Taoists in China is they don't believe that you get to heaven just from doing prayers and meditation. You got to take care of your body and make it strong, because your body's the temple. Your body's a temple. You got to make it powerful. And the stronger your body is, the stronger your thoughts are. So is it any surprise that this little monk, he's 80 years old, that's just sitting with him and he's telling stories and you're getting zapped? Now, how powerful was a body that could do what he did? Nobody else can do it. That's a really powerful vibration that he's got. So you got to keep this in mind. The next page, I give you 12 more in case these 21 things didn't help. 12 more keys. Get a massage once a week. You like that idea, huh? When I'm in China, I get massaged 3 to 5 hours a day. I leave and they can put my toes in my mouth and make me eat my foot, stretching me around, because they get rid of all the tension that I might have. Very important. There's a connection between tension in your body and tension in your brain. You want to eliminate both. Second, wear special success clothes when you write. This is something I saw John Carlton talked about. See, when I speak, I wear my special clothes. I don't wear these every day, just when I speak. And I get clothes nobody else has. And I have them special made in places you're probably never going to find. And if you want to know where, I'm not telling you. Just in case. Just in case. just like Jim Whalen, right? Especially a rhinestone tuxedo. Can you imagine? Now he's got one with it's like stars and stripes and American flag tuxedo. And he asked me, should I get this other? I got 6 tuxedos now. You know, the last one was 10 grand, and then the other one was 14 grand. Should I get another one? I said, Jim, you need 24 of them. He said, what? 24 of them? I said, yeah, you need 24 of them. Why? I said, because you can wear a different one for almost a month, and by the time you change and wear a new one, people have forgotten it. So it always look like you have an endless stream of clothes. You never wear the same thing twice. Once you got 24, you need to get another 12. You just keep building the wardrobe. So he's doing it. No, the lady who makes his clothes is in my mastermind as well, so she's very happy I'm telling him these things. Very, very happy. But when you sit and write, think about this. If you have special clothes you wear, because now you're writing your emails, then you take them off when you're done, just like a doctor going in for surgery. He wears special clothes for that. He doesn't go in wearing his regular white frock, is it called? Smock. He puts different stuff on. Dr. Maltz, I'm reading his autobiography, Dr. Pygmalion, Autobiography of a Plastic Surgeon. This was written some years before Psycho-Cybernetics was written. And he talked about going into the scrub room before surgery and spending 20 minutes scrubbing his hands and arms. 20 minutes. I'm thinking, man, I take a shower. It's like, all right, 5 seconds here. 20 minutes to make sure there's no bacteria or anything that could give somebody an infection. Then he put on his special clothes. Interesting. The judge, when you go to court, does the judge wear something different? Yeah. How about Batman? Superman. Right? You put on your success clothes. Wonder Woman. Yeah, we got to be fair, yes. Almighty Isis or whoever.
Have you ever seen service dogs that, they put on their little, I don't know, what jacket thing?
Service dogs?
Service dogs, but they're a different personality with it on.
Yeah. Oh, it changes you.
Or they're,
It changes you, yes. 4, make it easy on yourself. Here's one of my secrets. Easier it is for you to write, easier it is for people to read. Harder it is for you to write, the more time you spend struggling, no one wants to read it. Boring. They can tell you struggled. They can feel it. So you write with ease, with fluency. This quote, yesterday morning I got up, I finished, and so I added this quote to this outline. It's at the beginning. Turn to page 3 at the beginning. I put Dr. Maltz's quote in here. Chronic failures have become successful. F students have changed into straight A pupils within a matter of days, and with no extra tutoring, shy, retiring, inhibited personalities have become happy and outgoing. That's simply by changing the picture in your brain. So I said, I got something on my mind, so I wrote this. Show me the mental picture you have of yourself, and I'll show you how to make it bigger, brighter, and more powerful. I'll introduce you to the real you, your big self. And when I do this, you'll instantly recognize how you've limited yourself, how you've resisted yourself, how you've cheated yourself of the success you deserve. Once you change the mental picture, the mental movie you have of yourself, Nothing in the universe can stop you from living your dreams. Does that look like it was effort? Or is it flow? It flows because I was flowing. Didn't even rewrite it. It's just one take. So you take the path of least resistance. You always hear this, oh yeah, you want to take the path of least resistance. Yes, I do, because that's the way things move. Niagara Falls, does it go up or down? Natural. Water flows down the waterfall. You don't fight up. So everything, when you're thinking, how do I write this? Well, take the path of least resistance. And you'll see how I do this over and over the next 2 days. I put myself in the easiest framework I can so that the writing is just... And you know who else was the master of this? This other great Irish communicator. John Kennedy. I was thinking of somebody else. I already mentioned him earlier tonight. Yes, you didn't think he was Irish, huh? Ronald, you knew. Okay, Ronald Reagan. And one of the secrets you'll see in my emails is this. 4 years ago, I was standing here speaking to you about Star Wars. Since that time, 7 years ago, Nancy and I were standing in this White House talking about. A year ago, I was having breakfast with Colonel Oliver North. Right? I'm just making them up, but every one of those you're gone. I got you every time. I can use it every day if I need to. I was sitting in TGI Fridays with my friend Bob, eating breakfast. I got the frame. Person's in the picture, the rest is easy. Get the time or you get the picture. You get the place or the time. Either of those, 5 years ago. Last night, I was giving a special lecture to myself. You listening? Not sure. This morning, I was sitting on the toilet, reading Reader's Digest. Came across something on page 5 that I thought you'd like to know about. You see, you could leave now. Don't skip the next 2 days. What I just told you is huge. And I don't believe I've ever taught it before. Have I, Michael? I don't think I ever have. Even the guys that I coach regularly, they've had to figure it out. So this is a big thing I just dropped. Time and place. Put people into that capsule and you got them. And what it does is it makes everything you write personal and friendly. Because you're letting somebody be a voyeur into your world. You're giving them a peek. They shouldn't know about your conversation in TGI Fridays. They shouldn't know what you were doing the night before, or the conversation you had with somebody, or what happened 5 years ago, or 7 years ago, or 20 years ago. It doesn't matter. But they want to know. You've engaged them. So that's the path of least resistance. Do you think I should do something else? How about this? Sitting in the corner of a room is an amorphous blob. Do I got your attention? I hope not. I hope not. Because that's all passive voice, and you're not even in it. 5, don't compare yourself to others. Keep up with yourself, not the Joneses. 6, forgive yourself for your mistakes. Forget others. 7, see yourself at your best. as a person of confidence, not a person of frustration. 8, have a daily goal of how many words you are going to write. This is big. All the writers I know, is this true, Denise? They all have like a daily minimum of words they are going to write, from Stephen King on down. Whether it's a copywriter or whether it's a novel writer, they have words. And you know, the beauty of this is we have computers now. And you use this thing called Microsoft Word, and at the bottom of the document, it tells you how many words you've written. So I like to do 2,000 words a day. That's generally it. And if I do 2,000 words a day, how much will I have written in a month? 60,000 words. That could be one book or two. That's a lot of writing. And when you get good at this, and you get stream of consciousness, which you're going to be learning here next 2 days. Stream of consciousness writing. 2,000 words, you can whip it out pretty fast. Remember that words are fickle and easy to change. Don't obsess about them. That's why you turn off the screen, or just write it all and get it all on paper, and then you can go back and edit it later. Or if you're reading your email to me out loud tomorrow and Friday, and I hear something you're saying and I change it, don't go, "Oh my God, you tampered with my masterpiece." It's not a masterpiece. It's words. You see, it'd be different if you had a painting and I went up and marked some stuff on it, right? So it's a painting. Words are easy to change. Hit the delete button, put a new one in. Next thing, 10, what you write today you may think of as great. A year from now you look at it and go, who wrote that shit? That's terrible. That's awful. And I thought that was good. What was I smoking? Don't worry about it. You write every day anyway. It's practice. It's always practice. 11, this one is huge. This one is big. You should red flag it, star it, circle it, put a box around it, whatever you got to do. Read, then write about what you read. I get up in the morning, I read. Sometimes it's the same book over and over. And I read it and I go, I sit down and I write about what I read. And you do this, you can become great. And I never thought about this. I just did this until I'm reading Jeffrey Gitomer's books. Have you ever seen any of them? They're everywhere. And he mentions psycho-cybernetics in most of them, so I'm plugging him. First one's called The Little Red Book of Selling. You seen him now? Second one's The Little Red Book of Sales Answers. Third one, Little Gold Book of Yes Attitude. Fourth one, Little Black Book of Connections. Fifth book just came out, the Little Green Book of Getting Your Way. Now, they have a bookstore in this airport. You can find probably 3 to 5 of them there. Get them all. And what he said in the little gold book of Yes Attitude, I'm reading this a few months ago, he says, I read and then I write about what I read. 5 books. Little yellow, little red, little gold, little green. What the hell else has he got? It's going to be blue and orange, and you can see it all. I'm reading this, and most of it is lists 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, do this, 7 of this, 8 of this, 10 and a half of that. He uses 0.5, like 10.5 things to do here, 21.5, 0.5, but it's a unique twist. And what he does is he just does this every day, reads and writes about what he read. And man, you will never run out of material with this formula. Never. You could just read something boring and dull like the newspaper, and you got plenty of material. I think that's how they get all those books called the Darwin Awards. Where do you think they get all their material? From the newspaper. Oh, another idiot today. One of the best ones I read was about an attorney, and he was trying to prove how a murder was committed. So he took the revolver in the court of law during the trial and pointed it at himself and said, now this is how he killed himself. And he pulled the trigger and eliminated himself from the gene pool. Very good idea. This is people they write about. I mean, where are they getting this? This isn't in movies they're getting this. They're reading about it and compiling it. And then go to the DarwinAwards.com. You can read all. If you need material, go to DarwinAwards.com, find the latest bozo who knocked himself off somehow, by accident supposedly, and work that into an email. 12, last one, is begin every day with the theater of the mind. See, if you want to have a zero resistance life and be a zero resistance writer, you don't wait until halfway through the day when you're frustrated and stressed out and worried and all these things happen that you didn't want to have happen, and now you don't have the mental resources to even deal with them because you didn't spend time first taking care of your brain. You see? And all the most powerful creators that I've ever read about spent time every day in quiet. It didn't matter whether it was visualization or meditation or prayer. They did it. Now, my family, I grew up watching Bishop Fulton Sheen videos and audios. Now, he lived at 82 or 4 years old and wrote 95 books before computers. Had his own TV show. He was the first televangelist before Billy Graham and Dr. Robert Schuller. And both of them modeled him. He had no one to imitate. There was no one before him. And I got all these old videos of him. And he'd come out and he'd talk for a half hour. He has a chalkboard. He'd use a chalkboard. No PowerPoint. And 30 minutes. His number one audience were Jews. Number two were Protestants, and third were Catholics. He went head to head with Milton Berle and cleaned his clock. Nobody watched Milton Berle anymore. They just watched Bishop Sheen. And he'd come out and he'd talk about things that any human being could relate to. Philosophy, psychology, and his belief in religion. And he said something that, what was the secret of his power? He spent an hour a day in prayer. An hour. You don't think he had things to do? How the heck could he have spent an hour? But that was his whole key. Even if he slept, he'd go to the church and he'd get in the pew and he'd sit there, and sometimes he'd fall asleep, but he was there an hour. That's pretty amazing. So now you look at what Dr. Maltz taught. Again, this guy wrote a ton of books, traveled all over the world speaking, giving seminars, and doing surgeries till the day he died when he was 76 years old. How the hell do you find time for this? He says you got to spend at least a half hour a day doing this. So the best time is you get up early in the morning when nobody's up yet. And that's how you start your day. You start by visualizing, you do theater of the mind exercise, the Star Trek and so on, and then you read something good. Then you write about what you read. And I'm telling you, you follow this, you have to be successful. You have to be. There's no other way. Cannot be any other way. So, look at what the most productive people who've ever lived did. How can you be a bishop of a diocese, have a TV show, be a university professor, and write 90-some books? I look at what I'm doing and go, man, I guess I better spend more time in quiet each day. Because in that quiet time, that's where you get the power. Last thing before we have our little get-together is Dr. Maltz was in Atlanta for a taping of a TV show. And he got there early because his flight was early. And if he went to a hotel, what would be the use? You're only there a couple hours. So he sat in this studio in a chair, just looking off into space for a couple hours. Just like the lady's got to interview him. She's thinking, whoa, who is this guy? Now, she's actually not thinking that. She was a big fan. But she said to him when they're on the air, you know, you got here early and you just sat in a chair just looking straight ahead for a couple hours. What were you doing? Just relaxing. That's all he said. You now know what else he was doing because I was teaching it to you tonight. And this lays the framework for your success. This is the key. You got to understand this. I can teach you how to write copy. You can leave here great at it. But if your picture in your mind is not of happy and successful receiving money for what you're doing, you won't get the money. To catch the money, you need a smile in your mental picture. When I was starting out as a personal trainer in 1987, I was scared to ask for $200. And I had this rich millionaire guy pulled up in a beat-up truck and a pair of shorts and an untucked flannel shirt. Don McIntyre, he was Scottish. And he looked at me and said, "Spit it out, kid. How much is it?" I got more money than I got sense. And I'm thinking, whoa, CENTS. How do you get more money than you got sense? Oh, maybe he meant SENSE. Oh, okay, $200. Okay. He just pulls out a wad of cash and just... But I never forgot that. One day he's sitting there, he's riding the bicycle, working him out, and he says, the thing you got to understand is money is just zeros. That's all it is. One day he came in and he says, "I'm getting a ship. I'm buying a ship." I said, "How much is that?" "It's a lot. And I don't have the money now, but I want that ship. And if I want it, the money will come." So you make a list of the things in your life you want, and the money will come if you think about them all the time. And think about it with a picture. where you want it. You're happy to have it. So here I am today. I asked all of you to give me $5,000, and I did it with a smile. And I'm very happy you're all here. So, and we're going to have a great time this weekend. We're going to learn a tremendous amount. You've heard from Denise. Katie Yakel is over there in the blue shirt. Is that blue or turquoise or turquoise shirt? Yes. Good, thank you. My brother Sean back there leaning against the wall, the bald head. He looks a little like me. And Sly Shorter in the back is going to talk about blogs and how stand up, would you? Come on, use a little etiquette here. All right, good. He's going to talk about blogging. He takes all my emails and he puts them on a blog. This is another way to make money as well. And they're really the same thing, but they're just, they look different, but it's the same. So what you're writing for emails can also be used for blogs. Sean does that for the Cowboy. He writes his blog. So if you think these intelligent, really great emails are coming from the Cowboy, no. They're coming from Sean. And my mom and dad are in the back there. My dad, he's 80, what are you, 89 now? He's 84. He'll be 85 in the fall. Go ahead and stand up. My father, Jim Fury. Yes, give him a hand. Yeah. And he's the guy who taught me how to speak slowly and distinctly. And when I was a kid, he'd sit in the bedroom with me and I'd have to lecture at the Mass on Sunday or during the week. And he came home early from work and handed me the missalette. He said, "All right, let's hear you read this." So I'd start reading. He goes, wait a minute. Your father was like this too, Denise? Okay, with other things, yeah. And I didn't stop at the commas. What do you think that's in there for? They didn't put it in there for a decoration. It's in there for you to pause. So I'd pause. Then I'd get to the end of the sentence, there'd be a period, and I'd run right into the next sentence. Wait a minute. Did you see that period there? Yes. What do you think it's there for? Went on and on like this. So he taught me how to read. And when I gave not a sermon, but when I read at the masses, everyone thought, wow, who's this kid, man? He's unbelievable. I was trained. My mother, she just turned 80. Can I give your age? Is that okay? She just turned 80 April 30. And she's the storyteller in the family. Anytime she needed to communicate a message to me of whatever variety the message was, whether a scolding or whether a praise, it was always told in the form of a story. So I tell you that because I owe a lot to them. So thank you for coming. Yeah. And we are now going to break.